On March 23, 2025, Red River Unitarian Universalist Church presented Reflections on Solidarity by the Reverend Dr. Mark Y. A. Davies. Welcome from Red River Unitarian Universalist. Thank you for joining us. The religion we practice in this church is centered in the here and now, rather than the hereafter. It is more of a thinking kind of religion than a believing kind. It is governed more by reason than by tradition, more concerned with the present than the past. It is concerned with getting the most out of life, with living wisely and well. A major aim for us is continually expanding our understanding of life and ourselves. This church is a community of people who share in the free and open search for a level of understanding that will enable us to be more fully and effectively alive. The church does not tell us what we must believe. It stimulates us to think. It supports us in our search. You are welcome to join us. Our centering value is love, with transformation, generosity, equity, interdependence, justice, and pluralism. That's right.
We have chosen to bring ourselves here to this sanctuary to gather as a community of faith. We join together in solidarity as a covenanted people who are drawn together by the promise of connection and the mysterious pull of the unanswerable. We draw on experiences of love and wonder to lift our hearts and move us beyond the mundane. As seekers, wanderers, appreciators of nature, connoisseurs of curiosity, and creators of connection, our paths have converged today so that we might become present to the spirit that is worship. And so, let us worship together. At this time, there's an opportunity for you to light a candle of community on the back table in the room. You can light a candle for a joy or a concern, or simply to bring more light into our space. Let's stand in body or spirit for our chalice lighting, spoken affirmation, and the lighting of the peace candle. Every day brings struggle, every day brings joy, every day brings us the opportunity to ease the struggle of another, to be the joy in another's life. May this flame remind us to carry our light to each other and to the world. Let us join together in the spoken affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth and freedom, and to help one another. We light this peace candle to remind us of all the places in the world where there is no peace. Join me in the words now on the screen. Lead me from death to life, from falsehood to truth. Lead me from despair to hope, from fear to trust. Lead me from hate to love, from war to peace. Let peace fill our hearts, our world, our universe. You may be seated. And now Marilyn Alexander is going to come forward for our stewardship moment.
I have good news and bad news. The bad news is that we can't make a budget without pledges. The good news is that we have all the pledges we need to cover the budget. The extra bad news is that it's still in your pockets. Think about all the good things that Red River provides for you. A special community of people who are like-minded in North Texas, a liberal desert. Until my husband and I found this church, we were ready to move back to Montana. We couldn't stand this. But the first time we attended here, we were hooked. This was a breath of fresh air. And where else can you have conversation and calories at church? I believe that 100% of our members can pledge, and that's my request this year. It's up to you to determine how much to pledge and when you make the payments. What bank gives you terms like that? Some can give more than others, and that's okay. In my life, I've had bad times and good times. In the bad times, I could contribute very little, but the little I contributed was very generous for me. In good times, I felt privileged to be able to contribute more. I hope you feel the same way and pledge what you can soon.
Our opening thought comes from Primo Levi, from his writing The Black Hole of Auschwitz. Auschwitz is outside of us, but it is all around us, in the air. The plague has died away, but the infection still lingers, and it would be foolish to deny it. Rejection of human solidarity, obtuse and cynical indifference to the suffering of others, abdication of the intellect and of moral sense to the principle of authority, and above all, at the root of everything, a sweeping tide of cowardice, a colossal cowardice which masks itself as warring virtue, love of country, and faith in an idea.
If we just talk of thoughts and prayers and don't live out a faith that dares walk through our neighborhood to learn its hope, to ease its pain. Our talk of good is simply vain. God, may our prayers and dreams and songs lead to a faith that takes on wrongs, that works for peace and justice too. Then will our prayers bring joy to you.
Our next reading comes from Sarah Ahmed, the Cultural Politics of Emotion. Solidarity does not assume that our struggles are the same struggles, or that our pain is the same pain, or that our hope is for the same future. Solidarity involves commitment and work, as well as the recognition that even if we do not have the same feelings, or the same lives, or the same bodies, we do live on common ground. Our time of meditation this morning will be to the words of Andrea Hawkins Camper, "Blessed are we." Let's take a moment to sit comfortably, feet on the floor, breathing in and out, in and out. Blessed are we who gather with open hearts together in this space today. Blessed are we, the chalice lighters of resistance, justice, love, and faith. Blessed are we, the heretics, the outcasts, the walkers of our own way. Blessed are we, the border crossers, the refugees, the immigrants, the poor, the wanderers who are not lost. Blessed are we, the transgressors, the trespassers, the passers-by, the cause takers, the defiant, the compliant. Blessed are we, the hand extenders, the sign makers, the protesters, the protectors. Blessed are we, the trans women, the trans men, the non-binary, the cisgender, the multigender, the no gender. Blessed are we, the friend, the stranger, the lonely, the hidden, the visible, the authentic. Blessed are we who rise in solidarity. Blessed are we who cannot. Blessed are we who do not. Blessed are we, for this is our beloved community, and this is who we are. Our next reading is from Noam Chomsky from the documentary Manufacturing Consent, Noam Chomsky and the Media. Chomsky states, modern industrial civilization has developed within a certain system of convenient myths. The driving force of modern industrial civilization has been individual material gain, which is accepted as legitimate, even praiseworthy, on the grounds that private vices yield public benefits in the classic formulation. Now, it's long been understood very well that a society that is based on this principle will destroy itself in time. It can only persist with whatever suffering and injustice it entails, as long as it's possible to pretend that the destructive forces that humans create are limited, that the world is an infinite resource, and that the world is an infinite garbage can. At this stage of history, either one of two things is possible. Either the general population will take control of its own destiny and will concern itself with community and community interests, guided by values of solidarity and sympathy and concern for others, or alternatively, there will be no destiny for anyone to control. solidarity. Solidarity is not doing for or doing to. Solidarity is joining with. Joining with. And our times call for a rediscovery of what true solidarity means. I would say that lack of solidarity with the most vulnerable among us, especially, is like pure oxygen for the fires of fascism. Yes, I use the F word. Because that's what it is. Solidarity entails realizing that freedom and justice for one are inextricably linked to freedom and justice for all. And solidarity calls us to join with persons whose experience of freedom and justice is most vulnerable to attack, and to protect them from persons and systems that do not respect their rights and would do them harm. It's important to realize that when religion is used as an excuse to be neutral, even politically neutral, it is not actually being neutral, it's not even being politically neutral, but rather it is an expression of solidarity with the purveyors and perpetrators of injustice by not actively being in solidarity with the most vulnerable and the oppressed. In their book, Liberating People, Planet, and Religion, the theologians Jörg Rieger and Tara Schwerin-Rowe write this, quote, "Religion will have to decide whether it will continue to be a justification for the status quo and a source of tranquility for the few, or a mode of agitation and solidarity for the many," end quote. And Pope Francis, maybe you haven't heard of Rieger and Schwerin-Rowe, but Pope Francis you've probably heard of. Pope Francis writes these encouraging words about solidarity, quote, "To all people of goodwill who are working for social justice, never tire of working for a more just world marked by greater solidarity. No one can remain insensitive to the inequalities that persist in the world," end quote. And if you want to move away from religion to a more secular perspective of an agnostic, perhaps even an atheist, the words of Simone de Beauvoir and the Ethics of Ambiguity, I think, are also helpful to understand what solidarity is about. She writes, "To will oneself free is also to will others free," end quote. Freedom, including the freedom to search for truth and meaning, comes with responsibility. A responsible search for truth and meaning, at a minimum, entails doing no harm to others. And ideally, it would include doing positive good in relation to others, joining with others to do no harm and do positive good in relation to others includes willing them to be free, just as we will ourselves to be free. Just as we want others to respect our free and responsible search for truth and meaning, so too we should respect their free and responsible search for truth and meaning. And this respect for the freedom of others calls us to be in solidarity with the oppressed and to actively pursue their liberation. I was thinking this week that if I were magically given the opportunity to spend one day with a person from the past in order to talk with them and gain insight and wisdom about what is happening in our present times and what we should do about it, that I would choose James Baldwin. James Baldwin. In an open letter to Angela Davis in 1970, when Angela Davis was spending some time in prison, James Baldwin wrote these words that convey one of the greatest challenges to true solidarity in our time for those of us who are white. Baldwin writes, quote, "Or to put it another way, as long as white Americans take refuge in their whiteness, for so long as they are unable to walk out of this most monstrous of traps, they will allow millions of people to be slaughtered in their name and will be manipulated into and surrender themselves to what they will think of and justify as a racial war. They will never, so long as their whiteness puts so sinister a distance between themselves and their own experience and the experience of others, feel themselves sufficiently human, sufficiently worthwhile to become responsible for themselves, their leaders, their country, their children, or their fate. They will perish, as we once put it in our black church, in their sins. That is, in their delusions. And that is happening, needless to say, already all around us." End quote. Solidarity calls us to see that every person on earth, in fact, all life on earth, is one of us. Every person on earth, all life on earth is one of us. Solidarity means joining with our black and brown siblings who are bearing the brunt of the death throes of white supremacy and the rise of white Christian nationalism in our country and in other countries. Every black and brown sibling is one of us, and we join with them in solidarity. Solidarity means joining with our transgender siblings whose lives are not being respected and whose existence patriarchal Christian nationalists are attempting to erase. Every person who is transgender is one of us, and we join with them in solidarity. Solidarity means joining with our immigrant siblings, both documented and undocumented, whose humanity and human rights are not being respected. It means joining with them to keep them from being sent to concentration camps in El Salvador, or to concentration camps next door, or concentration camps anywhere. The Alien Enemies Act of 1798 that is being used to deport and detain immigrants and refugees without due process was written for times of war. That's why we're hearing the language of they're at war with us, they're invading us. The Alien Enemies Act of 1798 was used to begin the detention without due process of Japanese resident aliens in the United States. They were called resident aliens because Japanese persons were not allowed to become naturalized citizens at that time. But then FDR added another executive order that allowed for Japanese American citizens also to be detained indefinitely without due process. That's the process that's being used now, this Alien Enemies Act, to detain and deport persons without any due process. And they're being sent to a concentration camp. It's called a prison, but it is a concentration camp. It holds 30,000 people, and the Human Rights Watch has been pointing out the fact that it is impossible for persons to receive individual care there. It is a concentration camp. Every immigrant is one of us. Every immigrant is one of us, and we join with them in solidarity. Solidarity means joining with persons around the world who are losing life-saving aid. Joining with persons who are losing their livelihoods and whose benefits and well-being are under attack because the richest man in the world, who can't keep himself from giving 2 Nazi-style salutes at a political rally, has deemed them to be inefficient. Solidarity means joining with both human life and other than human life to live simply and sustainably so that others might simply live. It means preserving a livable climate for this generation and all future generations. Every part of the family of life is one of us, and we join with them in solidarity. Cornel West famously said, quote, "Justice is what love looks like in public." I would add to this insight that the path to justice is paved with solidarity. The path to justice is paved with solidarity, and solidarity is expressed most powerfully by joining with the most vulnerable among us, by being with, caring for, protecting, joining with the most vulnerable among us, because every one of them is one of us. May we all cultivate the love and the courage, because it will take courage and it will take love to keep building the path of solidarity that leads to justice for all. At this point, we have our time of giving. Those of you who wish may bring your gifts to the bowl, and there's also an opportunity to give online. Let's stand in body or spirit for our benediction and the extinguishing of the chalice. When I say go in peace, I don't mean go in mindless oblivion. When I say go in peace, I don't mean go without challenging yourself or others. When I say go in peace, I don't mean go in utter ease and comfort. When I say go in peace, I mean go in peace, seeking justice. I mean go in peace, committed to equal rights and opportunities for all. When I say go in peace, I mean go in peace that is created when together we build communities of true solidarity, deep compassion, and fierce, unrelenting love. Go in peace. And now let's join in the words to extinguish the chalice. We extinguish these flames, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.